There is no such thing as a stingy man. They simply do not exist. Men, from time immemorial, have always been proud to be the breadwinners. They've always been the ones that go out and hunt for the meat. It's always been that way. And there's a sense of pride that comes with having the ability as a man to provide, especially for women and children. That's just the way men are wired. So men will naturally gravitate towards provision. Let me give you a practical example. Say there's men, women, and children on this imaginary plane, and the plane goes down on a deserted island. All the people survive miraculously. When the people get off the plane, roles are going to naturally be assumed by the men, the women, and the children. Naturally, the men will want first to secure the environment to make sure that it's safe for the women and children. After that, they'll probably want to figure out food, right? They'll figure out how to get the children and the women fed. That is what's just going to naturally happen. And this isn't to say women aren't capable of doing this. They're absolutely capable of doing this. But in a scenario as extreme as that one, it's very likely that you'll find that the woman will probably start to care for the children, and the men will go out, they will secure the environment that they are going to occupy, and they will go out and look for food. This is what will naturally occur in a situation like this. So men are natural providers. I recently went down this rabbit hole on Reddit. I was following this thread where women were asked if they would stay with a man if he couldn't meet their financial needs, right? And 7 out of 10 of these comments that I read from women would lean towards them saying the man wasn't capable of providing for them financially over an extended period of time. Not only would they lose respect for this man, they would find it increasingly difficult to submit to such a man. And also a decent number of them said that as time went on, they would stop being attracted to this man. Yeah. And when you think about it, men know and understand these things about women, right? As a man, your value is almost all the time attached to how useful you are to the people around you, how useful you are to society, right? You've seen this a lot of the times. Take family meetings, for instance. The voices that are heard are of those people that are considered important, right? Those that can solve problems, whether it be with money or physical ability. There's certain value as a man that's attached to you if you're useful. So as a man, your value is attached to how useful you are to the people around you. If you're not contributing anything to the people around you, your voice will very rarely be heard or even respected. That's just the way life is for a man. I remember watching this stand-up special. Chris Rock said something very interesting. He said, only dogs, women, and children are loved unconditionally, right? Men are loved under the condition that they provide something. So for a man, your value is attached to what you can contribute. And men understand this. And this is one of the biggest motivators for a man to have the ability to provide, to put himself in a position to provide for the people around him, especially women and children. Religions don't agree on most things, but most of them agree on this one thing, that the man is the provider of the household. Take Christianity, for instance. In Christianity, a man that cannot provide for his own, especially those of his own household, is described as someone who has lost his faith, someone who is worse than an infidel. That's heavy. Now, considering everything I've just said about men and provision, one might wonder why then, because there are women who find themselves in situations where a man isn't able to do what he's supposed to do financially. Now, in my experience and everything I've gathered, there's only one of two reasons. A man reaches a point where he's not doing what he's supposed to financially for a woman or for the people around him. Reason number one is this person is just genuinely not financially capable at that moment to provide for the people that he's supposed to provide for. He just doesn't have the financial capacity at that moment. But this is temporary. Don't count this man out. He will figure it out and he will bounce back. Trust me. Now, let us consider Occam's razor. Occam's razor is a problem-solving principle that recommends searching for explanations constructed with the smallest possible set of elements, right? Plainly put, the easiest explanation is more than likely the correct one. This leads me to the second, easier and most likely correct reason why a man, even though capable, is not doing what he's supposed to financially. It's because he doesn't want to do it. For you, specifically. It's not a trait of stinginess. It's not something tribal. It's not, he just doesn't want to do it for you, specifically. Yeah. All hope is not lost. This, like I think any other problem in life, can be solved by just talking, having conversations with each other, right? I've found that, especially now in 2024, people don't speak to each other. They don't communicate effectively. There's this alarming statistic I read that was compiled by divorce attorneys and marriage counselors. They came up with a staggering statistic that suggested the number one reason for divorce wasn't adultery, it wasn't money, it was that people had uncommunicated expectations. People didn't effectively communicate their needs to the other person. And this leads to accumulated resentment, right? So sitting down and communicating with somebody, you will discover that there's deeper things that may be going on with a person, right? Maybe their childhood, there was a lot of lack financially in their childhood, and so they're very touchy about money, or they have trust issues with people coming into their lives and taking from them, maybe because of an experience, business, personal, family that took from them, right? And the other thing that should be considered, especially by women, is that there's a huge difference between a generous man and a rich man. Let me give you an illustration. Say there's two couples. Couple number one, the man in this couple earns 1,000,000 kwacha, right? Couple number two, the man in that couple earns 5,000 kwacha. The man in couple number two that earns 5,000 kwacha gives 2,500 to his wife, right? The man in couple number one who earns 1,000,000 kwacha gives 5,000 kwacha to his wife. At face value, one woman has received 5,000 kwacha, the other woman has received 2,500 kwacha. One of these men in this illustration is generous, the other one is just rich. Don't let which is which go over your head. Now, everybody has problems, right? Men and women. But I can't speak to what women go through in life on account that I am not a woman, so I can't speak to what women experience. But I am, however, clearly a man, so I can speak to what men go through. And men go out and fight monsters every day to make things happen for their families. Men go out every day and sometimes have to do embarrassing jobs, sometimes have to do things that seem demeaning in society. They sometimes have to do things that go against their own pride. They have to put their pride aside so that they can earn something, right? So men are going out every day fighting demons. Every day when they step out of the house, they're fighting demons. So if you're a woman and you have a good man, a decent man, understand this. He goes out every day and fights monsters, so you don't have to. Give him a little grace. Don't be another monster he has to fight when he gets home. Yes, and those have been my thoughts. I hope at the very least this was mildly entertaining, and at most you picked one or two things that can be useful. And as always, dare to be great. See what happens. Peace.